Starting the video transmission.
Yeah.
Um, Give it a little bit of time here to start. Okay. I think we're
Testing
good.
1, 2.
Testing.
Audio.
Oh, that's what I gotta do. Cool. Are we good?
Yeah, audio sounds good on my end.
Cool. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Follow My Tracers here live on YouTube. I'm one of your hosts, Figure9, aka Tony, and today I'm joined by Jim, aka Power Grudge. As always, what's going on, man?
Nothing, just another lazy Sunday in paradise.
Lazy Sunday, wake up in the late afternoon. Yeah, man. We normally do this Friday, but I was moving on Friday, so that didn't happen. And then yesterday, we were going to do it, and things were kind of just not really set up yet, not in a good spot. So here we are on Sunday doing this week's episode. So as you'll notice, our third kind of co-host, Harley, is not here this week. It's going to be a bit of a shorter episode anyways, but yeah, he was unable to make it, but he will be back next week. But what games have you been playing, man?
So I'll save the big one for last, but I've been putting a little bit more progress into Far Cry 2 on PC. Definitely I wouldn't say underappreciated. I don't know what it was like when it came out in terms of like critic review and all that, but I gotta say, in terms of like just immersion, that game is like pure immersion. I think I said this the last time I talked about it too, but I really like how it's limited HUD. Everything's got a real weight to it, and I don't know, just it's a really fun game to play. I don't know, it's hard to describe it because I feel like I'm gonna blab and not get to my point, but I just really like that game a lot. Played a little bit more Fortnite this week. Played some Warzone with you and Harley and our other friend Kevin. And I don't think there's really anything else I've been really dabbling into. I will say, there was a sale on GOG, and I remember when I was a kid playing Dungeon Siege at my aunt's house. So all three were on sale for, I think it was like $10, 10, $15. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick it up because I remember liking Dungeon Siege 3 when it came out. Not not as good as Diablo, obviously, but I thought it was fun. And I was like, well, all three are cheap, and I'm always looking for games to play down the line. So picked them up. But the
Throw it
big
on the
one,
pile.
exactly, yeah, the pilot's already way too big. But the big one that I played, and I actually finished it today, which I was telling you earlier. I started it a few days ago, I think. I didn't start too long ago. But I recently completed Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. So it came out, for those who don't know, it came out 3 years ago, I think. 3-ish years ago, sometime at that
Yeah,
point.
somewhere around there.
So it's very much a story-driven game. It's on Game Pass too. So if you're listening, you have Game Pass, I would see if I recommend it. But right off the bat, I will say one of the best looking games I've played in recent memory. Even though I was playing it on PC too, so that might change if you're on an original Xbox One or an Xbox One X or a Series X, or well, Series X is probably fine. But um, I will say it's a very fun game. It was made by Ninja Theory, who I believe did the Ninja Gaiden games, I believe, and
Yeah, I think so.
it's really good. I really loved playing through it. It's one of those games where I feel like I took a couple breaks in between. Like I would stop for like a day and then come back. I feel like it's the kind of game where you kind of have to play it as much of it as you can in one sitting, because it's very much a game narratively driven. It keeps moving forward, and the impact of the themes and the story and like what's happening to your character and the characters around you and all that it really helps if you play it not in one shot because I think it's about I think I took about 7 hours to complete it, but 6 to 8 hours anyway on average. But it's really good. I It makes me even more excited for the second one now that I've actually played the first one. It's a game that's been on my mind to actually play for a long time now, and it's actually very nice to be able to get it done. I will say.
Yeah, the nice thing about that game too is that it is a little shorter, like you said, so you can kind of complete it in a few sittings. And from what I understand, it's a very powerful game in terms of its theme and its settings, and it's kind of like what it's trying to convey. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the main character in it. I learned there's a making of featurette that comes with the game on the main menu, and I had learned that the main character was their video editor at the company that or the studio that developed it anyway, or some part of somebody who worked on the game. A video editor was chosen as the main character, and she was terrified of acting, and uh, she did a knockout performance. I wouldn't have even guessed that she's never acted before, but it was a knockout performance. I have a I this is I don't want to say top 10, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say just because it's quite an impactful game. I don't want to say anything about the story, but there's themes of loneliness. It very much has mental health awareness kind of interwoven into it too, and all that. Not so much where it's ham-fisted, where it's kind of like preachy, but it's really well done. I don't want to say anything about the story just because it's too good. It really is too good. I have a new respect for games like this. Games that take you on a journey, I'll say, kind of like Shadow of the Colossus or even, Journey, that kind of game. Yeah, I don't want to babble on too much. What have you been playing this week?
Honestly, I haven't been playing much just because I was kind of focused on the move. I played a bit more WoW, but really not too much more. Bit of Warzone with you guys. We played some Sea of Thieves last night, which was fun. We checked out the new season 1 content that they were doing. We had a good time. There's lots of free stuff on the free battle pass, which is great. Some Warzone, bit of Fortnite. Yeah, but I mean, overall, I haven't been playing too much. I have been playing a bit more Cyberpunk recently. Now that the first kind of big patch is out, I wanted to check it out and see for myself, and I've been enjoying that again. So I'll probably dive back into that now that my room's kind of unpacked here and I can actually relax and breathe now that the move's done. But yeah, I haven't been playing too many more games. So I guess we'll just jump right into. Well, actually, before we do that, so just a reminder for everyone here watching live on YouTube that you guys can obviously comment in the live chat here, and we're going to do our best to respond to you live during the show. And anyone watching the VOD, you guys can leave a comment, and we're going to do our best to answer your questions on the next episode. So feel free to leave a comment on anything, and let's jump into our Fuel Up with G Fuel, not sponsored section. And I haven't had any G Fuel yet today. I don't know if you've had any, but yesterday I had a trial pack of Bahama Mama, and that was really good. Tasted exactly like a pina colada. And the day before that, I had my first dose of peach rings, and that was really, really good. Because the tubs I ordered finally got here, so that's been my G Fuel experience. Have you had any G Fuel yet today?
I feel like this whole week I could call it like a feeling up week because I had G Fuel every single day. But you talking about before I get into what my G Fuel is today, which was actually I might as well just say it. I had a Raging Gummy Fish because we were talking about peach rings last night or the night before, whatever it was, and Harley had mentioned, comparing peach rings to gummy fish because they're both, they're both candy, flavored essentially. And I kind of ragged a bit on Raging Gummy Fish a little bit once I started having other flavors that were kind of like snow cone or rainbow sherbet or peach rings that are more candy kind of flavored. Not so much rainbow sherbet, but they're a lot sweeter. And I have a new appreciation for gummy fish. I think I kind of ragged on it a little too hard because when I had it today, this afternoon, I had a really good time. I gotta say, I had not that it's fun drinking G Fuel. It's amazing, but maybe I wasn't. I mean, I had too much water, or maybe I had too much powder. But today, for some reason, the ratio was on point, so it tasted really good today.
Nice. Yeah, gummy fish is still one of my favorite flavors that I've tried. Tastes exactly like
I love eating Swedish fish, man.
yeah, exactly like Swedish fish. So I quite enjoy gummy fish. I guess quickly before we get into Infinite Watch and everything, everyone watching, you might notice a little bit of a different overlay where we kind of have a subscriber goal up top now and a most recent sub kind of badge there as well. So we want to hit 20 subscribers as a starting point. So anyone who's watching and you haven't subscribed yet, obviously we'd really appreciate a subscribe, and you guys can continue to watch all the good content that we make here. But we want to get to 20 subs as a starting point. So that's why that's there for anyone wondering. But let's jump into Infinite Watch, and I'm going to play a little sound clip once it loads.
Status report.
There we go. Okay. So for Infinite Watch this week, we actually had our second Inside Infinite update, the first one being in January, and that was that massive news dump with the release date and all of that we had a dedicated episode for a few weeks ago. So we had our Inside Infinite January update, and they did confirm that they're going to do one of these a month. So we can expect at least once a month a decent dump of Halo Infinite news. So that's exciting to start. There was nothing too overly groundbreaking in this update, and they did warn us that, hey, there's not going to be any, world premiere trailers or screenshots or anything like that in this update. It's more going to be a nitty-gritty kind of dev interview update. But there are a couple nuggets here that I wanted to mention. I do encourage everyone to go and read the Inside Infinite update if you're interested in Halo Infinite. Of course, it's quite lengthy, and you can really understand what the devs are kind of working on each and every day. They do a really good job interviewing them. But a couple nuggets I wanted to mention was that there's going to be a return of a fan favorite vehicle. So this means that it wasn't in Halo 5, but it was in a past Halo game, of course. So just doing some brainstorming, I mean, that could be the Falcon from Reach, the Hornet from Halo 3, maybe the Elephant from Halo 3. There's a lot of cool options where, they've been kind of away for a bit, but there's going to be a fan favorite vehicle returning. So that's exciting. They teased it. They didn't tell us which one yet, but we can look forward to that. As well, there's going to be a new vehicle, a brand new vehicle, and they kind of teased this one as well. And they described it as it's in between a Warthog and a Scorpion on the UNSC side. So it's probably more powerful than a Warthog, but not as agile. More agile than a Scorpion, but not as powerful kind of deal. So it's going to be like kind of a mid-ground vehicle, and that'll be interesting. So I wonder what that's going to look like. And that's a brand new vehicle, so not in Halo Wars 2, not in anything like that, a completely new design. So that's pretty exciting. Hopefully that pans out well. As well as we had new in-game weapon screenshots of the battle rifle, and that is the classic BR. It's confirmed. It's the classic battle rifle from Halo 2. Looks beautiful. We had the Needler shown, the new Bulldog shotgun, which was in the trailer back in July last year, and the Commando as well, which was another one of the new guns shown, and the Hydra as well, which is making a return from Halo 5, which was kind of like the 6-round missile launcher, kind of like homing missile launcher that Halo 5 had. And I always liked the Hydra. I thought it was a cool weapon. So that's coming back from Halo 5, as well as they showed the AR as well, the assault rifles. So we got some new in-game screenshots of those, and those were nice to see. Nothing groundbreaking. And then we had this one interesting piece that I definitely wanted to mention, and this is, I'm going to be kind of reading a direct quote here because I think it's important, especially given all the stuff with Cyberpunk that happened with the Xbox One and the base PS4 and all that. So basically they said that the way they've built the engine for Halo Infinite, because it's a brand new engine, that it scales really, really well across all different platforms. And here's the quote. So this is Game Foundation architect Danielle Giannetti. And she discusses how the studio rebuilt the engine multi-threading solution to ensure the game ensure the game runs optimally across every device that it's launching on: Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. And here's the direct quote. For Halo Infinite, we rebuilt the engine multi-threading solution to ensure high execution efficiency across all platforms and PCs, instead of running optimally just on Xbox One. We used this new system to transition the renderer to a massively parallel multi-threaded framework to support the increased cost of all of our new rendering features and achieve high graphics efficiency on PC CPUs of various size as well as Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One X and S hardware. So, I mean, I'm not a game dev. I don't know exactly what she said there. But, I mean, breaking it down into layman's terms, it sounds like the engine just scales really well across everything, which is definitely good news, especially given the whole Cyberpunk debacle. Obviously, we need to see it to believe it, but I think that this bodes well that they're willing to come out and talk about how this game is going to run well on everything it's shipping on so early. Any thoughts on anything I just mentioned with Infinite there, Jim?
First and foremost, when it comes to the fan favorite vehicle, I was thinking about initially my gut reaction was, oh, it's got to be the Hornet because
Yeah,
the Hornet's only been absent for 14 years now by the time it comes out. But I was thinking about other vehicles too, and I was like, well, there was the Spectre in Halo 2, but I don't think that was a fan favorite. There was the Chopper. There was
oh yeah, the Chopper. That could make a lot
Prowler?
of sense. Yeah, Chopper and
Prowler
Prowler
from Halo 3.
Yeah, that makes
Maybe
sense
not
with
the
the brutes
Prowler,
too.
but
That makes sense with the brutes.
and
Yeah.
I'm not too privy to Halo 4 and 5's vehicles or even Halo War 2 vehicles, but Halo Wars, because I played the first one anyway. Are there any vehicles in that game that you would consider a fan favorite,
Um,
or anything that would make sense within Halo Infinite's world in the first person setting?
I think a lot of vehicles from Halo Wars could transfer over well. Like the Locust is a cool vehicle, the kind of building killer. They were like mini Scarabs, if you remember. Like those were really cool
Yes, I do.
looking. I'm trying to think of what other vehicles from Halo Wars 1. I guess the Wolverines are kind of cool, like the anti-air. In Halo Wars 2, there's a lot of new vehicles. Like there's the Kodiaks, which are kind of like the artillery shell units. On the Covenant side, there's a whole range of them now. So I don't think it would be a fan favorite vehicle if they would have taken it from Halo Wars 2. I think this is more than likely from the mainline series. So I think the Chopper and the Prowler are good guesses, especially the Chopper. But I think the Vegas money's on the Hornet. I think you're right. It's probably the Hornet.
I'd almost want to wage the Elephant as well, but we also had what was it called in Halo 4? Wasn't was it the Mammoth?
Yeah, it
What
was
was
only
it
in
called?
one campaign mission though. That thing.
So if people were really excited about the Mammoth, maybe they could do that too. I don't know, but I'm thinking Hornet because we had the Wasp, which God bless 343 and all that, but I want the Hornet back. I really do. That was such a well made and, well, most importantly, was a fun vehicle to drive in Halo 3. So
And I think it's
ODST, I
important
don't think any new
to
vehicles.
yeah, no new vehicles, no DST, but I think it's important to remember that in Halo 5, like as far as I can remember, like there was obviously the Banshee's been in every Halo game. The Banshee was there. What was the UNSC air vehicle? Was it just the Wasp?
Yeah, I don't think we had no
There-
like passenger ones anyway. I think the
No.
Wasp was it.
Yeah, see, so to me that's a bit of a miss, right? Because the Wasp is almost like a really light vehicle. It's not like a Hornet. It's kind of different. So I think the smart money's on the Hornet. You're right, but I do hope the Elephant also makes a return, at least on some multiplayer maps. Like if there's a sand trap kind of map and you can have two elephants again, because in Master Chief Collection, one of the fun, the most fun things you can do is get in a big team game, and you steal both elephants and you back them up to each other, and then you have like this big base that you can just defend. It's a good time, man. I like the Elephant. But
The thing too, I think they missed out because you made a point about how they kind of missed out with just having the Wasp in Halo 5. Like when you have a big team mode like Warzone that they introduced, why wouldn't you have like an air passenger vehicle? That was almost like a, now that I'm thinking back retroactively, like that's kind of a big misstep. There wasn't any like okay, I might be wrong, but in general, there wasn't any other than the Warthog. There wasn't really any like really crazy or really like it was easy to like jump into like a one vehicle with like a whole team, let's say, or like a whole squad of like 3 or 4 people. Like there was no vehicle that was like that as far as I can remember. Just really
no,
the Warthog. But
just
that's
the
only a
Warthog.
2-seater, right?
Yeah, just the
Or
Warthog. I guess
3-seater
the
really
Scorpion
was
has the
it.
extra turret. Yeah, but I mean that's kind of it.
I miss the days when you could sit on the side of the tank in Halo. I think was that just Halo 1? I know Halo 1 you could for sure. And then like the Marines could sit on them in the campaign, but like you couldn't do it in co-op as far as I remember.
Yeah, co-op or
I might be
multiplayer,
wrong,
you can't
but
sit on the sides. I think except for CE.
yeah, and the one thing I think that's underappreciated. I've always liked it personally. I know it's not very intuitive or it's not very handy. But when you're a passenger in a vehicle in Halo 1, you go first person. And I always thought that was cool, like to go around in a Warthog as a passenger, especially multiplayer first person. It's disorienting, I guess, to a point, but I always liked that. I always kind of respected that because it was like, I don't know, I found it immersive. Like when you're driving, yeah, you want to have your view of the vehicle, and when you're in a turret, it makes sense. But as a passenger, it was always cool. But to add on to a second point, about the whole cyberpunk thing, I think it's good news that they're coming out and saying that it's going to be optimized for everything, and they're not showing proof yet, but they're kind of reiterating that it's going to be. With cyberpunk, I know they were kind of at, and again, I'm probably speaking out of turn, but it almost seemed like they were advertising towards, oh, like all systems will be good. But then as review copies were being sent out and people couldn't use their own gameplay footage and stuff like stuff that happened later on as it was closer to coming out. I'm hoping that with like a multiplayer beta for Infinite, they'll be able to kind of show what they're talking about in terms of it'll be able to run and everything smoothly. That'll be nice to know. But like you said, we have to see it to believe it because of Cyberpunk. I mean, I bought it on the Xbox One and I got duped. So,
Yep.
but I know I'm a little more trusting of a company I know than CD Projekt Red. Not that I didn't trust CD Projekt before, but I never really was a hardcore follower of their stuff. Like when The Witcher 3 came out, like I bought it and played it for, I bet you, maybe 5 to 10 hours. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't very long though compared to the scope of the game. But like I'm more familiar with Bungie and going into that 343. So I'm a little more trusting of somebody that I'm familiar with and a game series I'm more familiar with too. So we'll see what happens, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I'm also optimistic. I think you had a good point where they didn't tell us that it was like they told us it was going to be optimized, but they also like told us kind of why it would be. They didn't just say, "Oh yeah, it's going to be optimized." They said it's going to be optimized, and this is kind of why. Now that's great, but we like you said, we still need to see it. So hopefully we see some gameplay soon-ish. I don't expect it anytime in the next few months. They kind of detailed what the next few months of these Inside Infinite updates are going to be, and I forgot to grab that, but there's nothing groundbreaking over these next few months. Like it's kind of like nitty-gritty details like I kind of just went over. So they did mention that like kind of the big marketing machine for Infinite's going to kick back up kind of in video game hype season again. So think late spring, early summer kind of idea where E3 normally is around. So that's when we'll probably get a big kind of re-reveal of Infinite, but we might get some other stuff in the meantime. Hopefully we get a multiplayer beta before then. But getting off
It'd be nice to
of
have sooner than later.
yeah, sooner than later. But I mean, I guess we'll
No
find out.
rush. I'd rather the beta be in okay shape than like other beta. Like what
Yeah.
Call of Duty was it? Was it World War II's beta that was really not too playable? Like it was able to play it, but I want the beta to run not as smooth as the final game because it's obviously it'll be a work in progress. But I want it to run smooth enough where we don't have too much difficulty trying to get on it, where other games have done that in the past. But yeah,
Well, I mean,
anyway, let's get off it.
Yeah, that's the purpose of a beta, right? I mean, if the beta's rough, the beta's rough. I'd rather, if the beta's gonna be rough, though, that we get it sooner rather than later. Because if the beta's rough and it's 2 months out from release, that's a problem, right? Whereas if if the beta's rough and they still got 9 months or whatever it is, cool, that's you got lots of time. Anyways, yeah, getting off of Halo Infinite, but big update for Infinite, and we'll get some more stuff later. But we'll get into the news and current events, and we don't really have a main topic this time, but we do have a bigger piece of news we did want to talk about, and I guess we'll start with that. So, Jim, you wanted to bring up some GoldenEye stuff that kind of was revealed, right?
Yes, sir. So GoldenEye 007, one of the most famous Nintendo 64 and in turn one of the more influential first-person shooters ever made. 3D first-person, I'll say, or 3D shooters in general. Um, Now, for a long time, it was talked about how there was a remaster on the Xbox Live Arcade, going back to what the old store was called on the 360. Um, so we only ever had footage of a level or two, or we only ever had screenshots. But this week, or this past week, I should say, a YouTube channel by the name of Graslu, so GRASLUOO, posted a full playthrough of what looks to be a pretty well finished version There's only minor hiccups graphically towards the end of the playthrough, but this is pretty well a finished game, like ready to go. So I found it interesting before I dive into how kind of shady this YouTuber's being with how he got it. It turns out that Phil Spencer had something to say about this game in general about 6 years ago now, or 5 years ago on Twitter. So people are aware of a major property like James Bond. There's lots of different people. Not only Nintendo, who published the original game, they would have some rights still to the gaming spot, but whoever owns the Bond license in general, you have to go through a lot of hoops to get stuff like this released and made. So Phil Spencer on Twitter, somebody had asked um, on December 8th, 2015, you should try to come to an agreement with Nintendo and Activision. I guess Activision at that point in time had owned the license for Bond games, or for publishing anyway. For the Rare developed GoldenEye remake that never came out. So Phil Spencer said, GoldenEye rights are so challenging. Looked at this many times. Lots of different parties to work with. We've always given up. So it's much more of a hassle to try and get this released than not. So Xbox and Phil Spencer, I guess, in turn, have never got it released. But now somebody posted a full playthrough of it and fully remastered. This was made back in 2007, according to the video. And the YouTuber's not really too clear. He's not really saying anything about how he got it. He just keeps saying patience is key. Um, so somebody in his frequently asked questions section says, "Is this releasing soon / someday?" So he said, or she, whoever owns the channel, said, "The release is not on me. I cannot publish this. I've been told it will be released in 2021." So somehow, some way, I doubt officially, but somehow this remaster is apparently going to come out online, probably in ROM form this year. And I watched the whole thing for the purpose of this show. The video's about 2 hours long, but I only watched the first hour and a half because the last half hour is all multiplayer footage. So I wanted to get an idea of what it looked like single player wise, because that's what I always played as a kid. And it's beautiful to say the least. So Perfect Dark had a remaster kind of like this too, that released on its own and then later on in Rare Replay. And it's kind of crazy to have this full game playthrough up now because it's almost unreal to my head because this is something I always wanted. Later on, GoldenEye got remade for the Wii, and then later on came out for the 360, but it was pretty different from the original N64 game, which is what people were always clamoring for. I don't know if you ever owned GoldenEye, Tony. I don't really remember, but um, this is pretty big gaming news in my head. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I never owned GoldenEye, but I definitely played it a lot. I think a lot of people played GoldenEye back in the day. It was one of the staple games. You'd play Mario Party, you'd play Mario Kart, you'd play GoldenEye, like at a friend's house kind of thing, and then eventually Halo. But I think it's interesting that he has like the full game. He or she, sorry, has the full game. He said it's going to come out sometime in 2021. And I guess that means unofficially, right? Like it's not going to be like an official published game. It's just going to be like a ROM.
Yeah. So also in his FAQ, somebody had asked, "Is this related to the 4chan leak earlier last month?" Which I had no idea that something was leaked out last month about this, but the channel owner said, "No, not at all. That file is a dead weight that cannot be cracked. We've known of people with these builds for years now from the partner net / pnet. It was just a matter of time." So according to him, this has been kind of circling around privately for quite a while now, but he's the only one with the full gameplay footage. And it's cool because I remember seeing footage of the first level. This had to be at least a couple years ago or a year ago. And it was crazy. It was like, oh my God, like this was actually like a thing. But now that it's confirmed that this was pretty well finished, like I said, near the end of the single player game through, there's only like a couple texture things like sometimes trees will be purple because they're untextured, or the outside of the train on the train level, there's a couple patches that are purple, and there's a couple flickering lines on the ground later on. But other than that, like this could easily come out digitally today from the look of it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's weird that the game is like basically done and it never came out. That's
Been just sitting dormant for 14 years, which is crazy. And it was developed by Rare. That's important to know too. So because Rare is owned by Microsoft, I can't remember when they actually got bought out. Was it 2002-ish? It was early 2000s anyway.
It was early 2000s.
But they did develop this too, which shows because just scrolling through it, it looks great, man. Like I said, Perfect Dark got the same treatment, and I was pretty happy with that because the original Perfect Dark, similar to the original Goldeneye on the N64, um, it's a little it's a well-made game, don't get me wrong, but the frame rate is what kills it. Like it's really choppy, and it's almost hard to play once you've played the remasters on Rare Replay now, or even standalone or whatever. But yeah, it would have been nice. I was telling someone else earlier today, if this GoldenEye thing would have come out way back when, I'd still be playing it today because that original GoldenEye is like one of my favorite games of all time. Even like the N64 version and all that. So, I had the Activision produced remake, not for the Wii but for the 360 when it came out the year after, and it's fine. Like I like it, but it's not like there's some callbacks to the original game, but for the most part, it's just kind of doing its own thing.
That's unfortunate.
So, yeah, like it's still fine. Like it's a good 7 out of 10, but I don't know. This would have been awesome if it would have actually come out officially.
I wonder if it ever will, or if it's just gonna be.
I severely doubt it. So it's also important to note. So on the in the gameplay footage, maybe I'll put it in the description after the episode's after it's aired.
Yeah,
but,
do that.
It's important to note. It says footage of the canceled Xbox Live Arcade remake from 2007, full game, whatever, 4K 60 FPS. It's played on an emulator to achieve a higher resolution. So the game still would look good in my eyes if it was running on just like Xbox hardware. But if you're going to watch the gameplay footage, it is emulated and the resolution is jacked up. So it will look better, but in general, it's a shame this never came out. I'm like half upset that it didn't because there's such potential here that I think this would be. It might be too little, too late now because it's so many years down the line. But this would have been a moneymaker if it would have come out.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm sure it looks great, but probably looked great back in 2007. Like compared to new games now, you know, it doesn't really hold a candle to it. So, I mean, as long as the gameplay is there and it really honors GoldenEye to what it was, and it's like a really like a 1-for-1 remake of it, you're right. I think it would do really well, but it'd be interesting to see if this game came out like now, what the reception would be like. Because I feel like it's more of like a internet like thing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like the thing with this remake is it's all the original sound effects, the original level designs there. Everything's still original. It's just remastered with better graphics and probably some like modern FPS control support and blah blah blah. But
yeah.
It still would feel like a dated game. So yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just nostalgic for that kind of stuff. Not that
I think a lot of people are, man. You're not in the wrong. Like a lot of people are. So.
And now that we have like a new Perfect Dark being developed, that's going to be a quadruple A game, and there's a new Bond game coming up from IO Interactive, like the Hitman makers, and Hitman 3 is getting rave reviews now. So a Bond game in that format, more modern format, I'll say, might benefit better now. But if I ever get the chance to play this, whether it's emulated or not, to play this this leaked, like build of this game, I would love to get my hands on it.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting story that this is happening all these years later, and I guess it's one of those things where I guess it was going to come out eventually. Someone was going to leak it. Someone was going to figure out a way to get it on the internet, and so we'll see. Hopefully that happens this year, and we can get a chance to try this out. So moving on from that, let's talk about some other news. I'm going to jump into the Medium. So the Medium came out this past week. It is the first next-gen / PC exclusive for Xbox, so it's only out on the Xbox Series X and S, and only out on PC. So it's really the first true next-gen game for Xbox. It's currently sitting at a 76 on Metacritic, which makes you seem like, oh, okay, it's good, but it's not amazing. But I think it's interesting when you start to dive into some of the scores here. So PC Gamer gave it a 92, GameSpot gave it a 90, IGN gave it an 80, from what I can understand, an 8, and I think IGN Italy gave it a 9. Game Informer gave it a 68, Destructoid a 60, Games Radar a 50. So like look at the range there. Like you get like you get 90s, like you get pretty much the entire spectrum here, right? In terms of what people are giving this game. Which to me tells me that it's, I don't know if the word is controversial, or maybe I guess it's a little splitting, I guess. I can't think of the right word for it, but it certainly makes me very excited and intrigued to play it, because some people have been like really, really liking this game, and other people not so much. So it's cool when you see these kind of games come out and they don't have universal acclaim, but there are some outlets, especially some big name outlets like PC Gamer, GameSpot, IGN, like those are some massive names, and they're giving it great scores, and you're like, okay, so that's interesting. So I do have the Medium downloaded now, so I'm probably going to try playing that this week. I'm excited to play it, and for the people who don't know what the Medium is, it's the kind of a game where you act as a medium, you help people. I guess the story, or your character like moves people from the physical world to the spirit world kind of deal, and the game takes place on two different planes of existence at the same time. So you're kind of in the real world and in the spirit world at the same time, and the game renders both of those at the same time. So it's kind of doing a really cool kind of next gen exclusive thing. And I'm very interested to play it. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah, I have it installed on PC right now. That's going to be my big game for the week, I think. I'm really excited to try it out. I always like psychological games, and I like horror games. And it's nice to have games that kind of combine the two. From what I know of the game, I really don't know anything about the story. I just know the game mechanic of being two places at once. So really intrigued by that. And I don't know. I'm just really excited to be able to play it, because I know it's the PC and Series X exclusive. And if I could play it on my Xbox One, like original Xbox One, I would. But I have a pretty good gaming laptop, so I'm pretty confident I'll be able to run it fine. But I'm excited. This will be the first truly next gen game I've played since the next gen consoles have come out, because everything's got, like, Cyberpunk had the ports, right, for PC and the original consoles, and you have your next gen kind of stuff coming out soon for that. And then just stuff that's optimized for Series X and S. Like, I have games for the Xbox One that are further optimized for that kind of stuff. But this will be the first one that's just next gen, essentially. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what it looks and plays like, given that it has that exclusivity kind of attached to it. It's the first one where the wall is up, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think we'll probably both play it this week, and we can talk about it more next week and give our own opinions about it. But it's getting some good reviews and it's getting some bad reviews. It's kind of all over the place, so I'm excited to try it out. We had also a Microsoft earning call this past week, and they told us some updated Game Pass numbers, Jim, right?
Yeah, so this was probably a result of the controversy we talked about last week, or maybe a little bit anyway. But
no, I don't think so, man. This was from a previous quarter. Like, that wouldn't have had any impact on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Game Pass hit a subscriber milestone, which is, for those who don't know what Xbox Game Pass is, it's essentially Netflix for your Xbox. You'll be able to download and play games for a monthly fee. If you get Game Pass Ultimate, you can get it for PC and get your gold subscription in there. But regardless, Game Pass has hit 18 million subscribers now. And I can't remember how long ago we had talked about it, but not too long ago we were talking about how it hit 10 million, or it had 10 million that Microsoft was boasting about. Do you remember how long ago that was?
Yeah, so it was 10 million sometime last year, and it was 15 million just a few months ago. So it's gained another 3 or so million in the last few months.
It's Game Pass is a great service. I got to say, this doesn't really surprise me that people are kind of clinging on to this a little more. 18 million is a lot of people, though. Like, that's quite a milestone to reach.
Now,
so it was 15 million in September. Yeah. According to the article on The Verge.
There you go. Right. So it's only been a few months, and I think it's important to note that probably includes everyone who's signed up for 1 month for $1, like that kind of deal, right? So I'd be really interested to see like what the actual percentage of people playing that are paying like the full cost every month are, like you and me. where we're past the kind of trial $1 a month period that you get. But either way, I mean, it's growing pretty quick. It makes sense. People are stuck at home; they're playing video games, and Game Pass is a really great value if you play the games on it. So it makes sense. It'll probably just keep growing, and hopefully the idea is, and this is probably Microsoft's bet, that their first party games start to come out day and date on Game Pass, like Halo Infinite and Fable and all these games, and they're really good, and then people subscribe to Game Pass to play them. That's their play. So hopefully that's the case. The games come out and they're great, and Game Pass will probably just keep growing.
Yeah, and then Game Pass has a lot of great games on it too, so it doesn't surprise me that people, if they want to sign up for it just to play the games, I mean, they keep adding big name games on there. Like I think Red Dead Redemption 2, when that was on Game Pass, was a big win for them. Like just games like that, like AAA games, and even not even AAA games, but like first party games, like The Medium, for example, that's on Game Pass. So it's just an exciting time, I think, to be subscribed to it. Not that we're not sponsored by Microsoft or anything. I genuinely like the service a lot, and I'm glad I subscribed to it. Not
Yeah.
an ad.
Yeah, me too. And I think the Medium's a good example here, right? Like, I didn't have to buy the Medium, and neither did you. We just downloaded it. And that's because of Game Pass. Like, otherwise we would have to pay, I don't forget the price. I forget if this is a full price game or not. I think it actually might not be full price, the Medium. Might be a little less. But either way. And, like, even though Gears 5 is going to be Games with Gold next month, like, I never paid for Gears 5. Downloaded that. Never paid for Forza Horizon 4. Downloaded that. Never paid for Sea of Thieves. We play that. Like, there's good examples here of games that I'm just like, I play all the time, and they're on Game Pass. So, yeah, it's a good service. Hope it keeps getting better. And, yeah, big news there. And it wouldn't be an episode of Follow My Tracers if we did talk about more Cyberpunk. So we kind of have some good news, bad news here. Or I guess good news, funny news. So this week, Cyberpunk developer CD Projekt Red, they released modding tools for the game finally on PC. So now if you're on PC, you can download mods and you can make your own mods for Cyberpunk, which is a big deal, right? The modding community is big. At the same time, they quickly removed the sex mod because people were modding the game to have sex with Keanu Reeves' character. So, and they were like, yeah, that's kind of weird. I think we need to like get rid of this for now. So they'll probably reintroduce it at some point with maybe that restriction in place. But I thought that was pretty funny that they released these tools, and then of course immediately people had sex with Keanu Reeves' character. And also confirmed this past week was that Cyberpunk 2077 had the biggest digital launch of any video game out ever, which is kind of huge. Even with all those refunds, biggest digital launch of all time. So
That
clearly,
doesn't surprise me.
clearly a still incredibly successful game despite all of the controversy around it. Financially, anyways.
Now, do you think, just a quick question, do you think that now that it's been a little bit and CD Projekt Red's in hot water, and they're kind of maybe separating the company from the game, do you think that the game can be successful in this form? Like, do you think that like you can separate? It's kind of like with music. Like, can you separate the art from the artist? Is what I'm trying to ask. Like, it's still successful, even though CD Projekt Red, they had the stories about their workplace being hell, the deadlines, misuse of shit like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you think this game is successful because of people ignoring that? Like, I'm asking the question wrong. But
No, I think I know what you're trying to say. I think the reason why this game is so successful, first of all, is just because there is unbelievable hype around it, and we have to remember that the vast majority of gamers out there aren't as dialed in as probably the rest of us in terms of like us talking about this podcast and listening to it. So they probably just saw the commercials for Cyberpunk and they got hyped and they bought it, and they don't even know any of the controversy, right? So
yeah.
It's just the way it is, and the game is still successful, and I think the game does a lot of things right. And like I said, I've been playing more of it, enjoying it. So I think this game's going to be in a really, really good spot, hopefully in a year, where everything is patched out and the game for the most part runs really well, and maybe the next gen patch is out by then and it runs really well on there. It remains to be seen how deep the game is the deeper I get into it, because I've just been doing a lot of side quest stuff and I've been having fun with that. But yeah, Cyberpunk, man. We'll probably keep talking about it for the the next few weeks or the months ahead, just because it seems like every week something happens with Cyberpunk where it's another lawsuit, or modding happens and then they have to get rid of it, or whatever it might be. So expect more Cyberpunk in the future. But obviously was it last week or the week before? I think it was on for 2 weeks. Battlefront 2 was free on the Epic's Game Store, and they drew a lot of players to download that game, right?
Yep. So when Battlefront 2 was free on the Epic Games Store, this was beginning of January, I believe.
I think it was mid-January.
Yeah,
I want to say it was like the 10th to like the 25th or something like that.
Yeah, because they're free. They were giving away free games for 3 weeks for Christmas. So after that is when Battlefront 2 went free. But regardless, so when it was free on the Epic Games Store, 19 million people had claimed a copy of Battlefront 2. But the bigger news in that is that last year, there were 103 free games given away last year. So I don't know if you're going to be counting Battlefront 2 in this number. Probably not. But regardless, last year with 103 free games being given away, gamers claimed over 749 million copies of games last year for free. That is a lot of games. It's almost like that number's almost too big to believe.
It is too big. It's too big to think about how many copies that is. Like, that's insane. But it makes sense. Like, almost every month I went, like last year, almost every month I'd hop on and just download whatever's free. And one of the ones last year was GTA 5, which I'm sure was a big number for them too. I'm sure lots of people downloaded that.
I'm still upset I didn't have this this gaming laptop. I wasn't even aware that they were doing this because I never had a gaming PC until like 8-9 months ago or whatever it was. But yeah, I missed the window big time on that.
There was also
the good
Civ
news
5. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a big game too, actually, Civ 5.
Yeah, there was a couple other big ones, not just GTA, but yeah, there were some like big AAA games that they gave away. So, anyways, continue.
But the good news is Epic has said that they are going to be giving away free games as usual in 2021. So maybe they'll be giving away, crazier games this year that will surpass that number. That'd be awesome. I'm a big fan. Not even just because it's free. I mean, that's the best part, really. But the nice thing too is it's just nice being able to have games without having to shell out, money all the time. Like,
so it's free.
Like with Steam, for example. Yeah, but it's nice that it's not just indie games. It's nice that they put on games like Alien Isolation was a free game last year. It's nice that games like that too, like not just your 8-bit Shovel Knight type of games are free. Like they have actual. It's gonna sound wrong when I say it, but they have like actual games on there, not just. I feel like an asshole.
You definitely said that wrong, but I know what you mean. They don't just have little games; they got big games too.
Yeah, it's not just like independent studios or like small size studios. Like Rockstar's a big name studio, and GTA 5 was on there. I don't know for how long. Some games will go for 2 weeks. Some games are a week. I think
GTA might have been a week. I forget. I think it was only a week.
But yeah, like that's great news. I like that.
Yeah, more free games, man.
It was successful, man. Like if you have a PC and you don't utilize this, because it is free to sign up for an Epic account. So if you have a PC and you're not doing this, you should start doing it now, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you never play the game or your PC can't run it, maybe you have a little laptop and you plan on getting a gaming PC, a couple of years from now, just download the launcher and get to claim the games. It's free and they're going to stay in your library, and when you get to that point where you can play them, you're going to have a big library with you. So might as well just hop on there and download it. You never know. I say the same thing with games with gold. I usually just download them all just because you never know. Or not download them all. I claim them all, I guess.
Yeah, me too.
So I think a lot of other people do the same thing. But
I might claim Gears 5, even though we have Game Pass. I might just claim it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna claim it, man, for sure, 100%. So now I got a bunch of rapid fire news, and nothing we really need to hang on here. But if we want to stop and discuss any one of these individual news pieces, we certainly can. But I kind of just have a rapid fire section I'm going to go through. So the PS5 exclusive Returnal has been delayed 1 month, and that is from March 19th until April 30th now. Sea of Thieves has received a 120 FPS mode on the Series X, and I guess I could speak to this a little bit because I tried it last night. Now that I have my Series X at my desk here with me, and my monitor is 144 hertz, so I was able to crank it up to 120 FPS, and it's really nice. And it's funny because my monitor is only 1080p anyways, so there's a little disclaimer when you select the 120 FPS mode, and it says, warning, your resolution is going to be decreased to 1920 by 1080, and that's 1080p, which my monitor is. I'm like, okay, cool. It's fine. And then it did that, and the game looked exactly the same. It was just running at 120 FPS, and the game already looks better on the Series X, so I was really, really happy with that. And like the Series X already runs the game at 60 FPS normally, and then they just bumped it up. They doubled it to 120, which is awesome. So for people who say like the frames don't make a difference, you have to see it to believe it and really play it, because it definitely feels and looks different. You can tell.
Oh yeah, and even just relaying it to like a lesser effect. I remember playing Halo Reach when it first came out on 360, and we didn't know any better,
man.
but like
Yeah.
that game runs at like under 30 FPS.
Yeah.
And when it got put on the Xbox One before it came on the Master Chief Collection, they bumped it up to over 30. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't much more than 30, but it already looked a lot better. And now that it's on the Master Chief Collection at 60 FPS, speaking from a guy who, played all those games on the 360 going onto the Xbox One, it makes a big difference when you have more frames. It really does.
Oh, big time. Yeah, Reach chugged, man. Reach was really pushing the Xbox 360 hardware. Yeah, it definitely chugged, and it is a different game on the Xbox One. A different game at that 60 FPS. And I guess, I forget if the Series X has campaign gameplay at 120 FPS or just multiplayer gameplay at 120 FPS, but I guess I could try that as well. So speaking about next-gen upgrades, the Division 2 is getting a next-gen upgrade next week as well. Maybe that'll finally push me to actually try this game, because I paid full price for it when it came out and I barely played it. So
I did too.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this next gen upgrade might make me re-download it just to try. Especially now that I got this fast internet, I might try to do that. But there's a next gen update for that coming out next week, and it seems like there's a lot of these coming out almost every week. There's like hey, this game's got a next gen upgrade. This game's got a next gen upgrade. Devs are kind of going back and quickly, unlocking the frame rates and improving the texture resolution and all that. Because a lot of these games came out on PC as well, right? So it's not like these games are, it's hard to scale them up. They just literally scale them up, because it was already made to be scaled up on PC. So that's exciting. As well as Marvel's Avengers is getting a next-gen version at some point. And that is going to be shown next month. That was confirmed. So sometime in February, we're going to get a look at the Marvel's Avengers next-gen upgrade. I'm still not interested at all in that game unless it's on Game Pass. I don't want to pay money for it.
No, I don't even know anybody that A, owns it, or B, ever talks about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we're in the wrong not playing it.
I don't think we are.
But I'm pretty okay not playing it.
Yeah. I just don't care. And if it's on Game Pass, I'll try it. That's the beauty of Game Pass. And I did play the demo.
Yeah, for sure.
I did play the demo, and the demo was enough for me to say, okay, I'm not going to buy this game. So
I only played the demo to get the Fortnite stuff.
Yeah, basically me too. Yeah.
And I kind of regret doing it because it came on the store like a month or two later.
Yeah, but you had to buy it then. So
yeah, true. I probably would have got it anyway. But so I guess that's a good thing I got it then. You know what? Maybe I'm in the wrong. Avengers, good game. Good demo.
Good,
How about that?
Good demo. Great demo, not a great game.
Actually,
and we
I
got
don't think the demo was that good either. So
no, it wasn't. But we got some bad news here. AMD is expecting PS5 and Series X/S chip shortages through the first half of 2021. So they have a pretty big supply issue going on right now at AMD, obviously very pandemic related. So it's going to be very hard to get your hands on a next-gen console for at least the next 6 months based on this, which is, I guess, bad news for a lot of people looking to get one. But I guess also maybe good news for people because, there's not a crazy number of games on these next-gen consoles yet. So you're not missing out by really not having it right now. So maybe this gives people more time to save their money or whatever it may be. But kind of sucks that it's going to continue to be really, really difficult to get your hands on these for the foreseeable future. Looks like Elder Scrolls Online is getting a new expansion, Blackwood Gates of Oblivion. And it's a prequel to Oblivion. And that's coming out in June. So that's cool.
Prequel, cool.
Yeah, and Elder Scrolls Online just has so many expansions at this point. I feel like they've gone into every single region of Tamriel, but
Yeah, this has got to be like the sixth ish one.
yeah,
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of expansions. It feels like that Greymore one didn't come out too long ago. It's probably been a long time, but I just feel like every time there's any Elder Scrolls news, it's not really pertaining to six. It's more pertaining to, oh, like here's another expansion, and then like a couple months later, it's like, oh, we're announcing another expansion. It's like, holy moly! Like it must be maybe again, maybe like Avengers. Maybe I'm in the wrong not playing it because that is another game that's on Game Pass.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's like yeah, it's on Game
It is.
Pass.
It is. No, I don't think I forget if the newest expansion's on Game Pass or not, but I think either all of them up to the newest one or including the newest ones on Game Pass. But it's important to note that it is a different studio that develops Elder Scrolls Online. It's not the same people that make like Skyrim or Fallout 4 or anything like that. So it's not like it's interfering with the next Elder Scrolls game or anything like that. It's a completely different team. But I would rather just play Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, me too.
THQ Nordic has announced that the long-awaited Biomutant, which was shown like 3 years ago at E3, I'm not sure if you remember Biomutant, Jim. It's coming out on May 25th to PC, PS4, and Xbox One. No next-gen version announced yet. Do you remember Biomutant?
No, I don't even. No, I don't remember to be. I might look it up after, but no, I don't even remember what that game is to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird one, man. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's yeah, it was like this next gen game that was shown, and it looks like it's not even coming to next gen at this point. At least not right now. There'll probably be like an optimized patch or version or something coming at one point. But yeah, that was announced a few years ago, and it's finally coming up May 25th, pending any delays.
That's
And
good news.
yeah, another game coming out anyways. And the last news here is that there's a Steam festival happening in February, so February 2021. So usually that pertains with a bunch of sales and cool things within the Steam ecosystem that happens. So look out for that, everyone on PC. There's going to be lots of cool things happening on Steam over the next month.
More games for me to add to the pile of other games I gotta get to.
Honestly, there aren't many games I'm looking at right now saying like, oh, I wish I had this game. There aren't too many of those right now, so who knows if I'll even buy anything. But
Yeah.
I know that these Steam sales are usually pretty good, and there's usually a couple deep discounts in there. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there's a game I forgot that I wanted that will be on there that I'll end up picking up. That's all I got for the news. That's all I got on my end. Anything else on your end, Jim?
No, I think we've the big one was Goldeneye for me.
Yeah,
I really hope that it does come out. You know what? In my honest professional opinion, I don't think it'll ever come out officially at this point. I think it's too late for people to, not people like me because I care about this kind of stuff, but it's too late for like Phil Spencer or anybody at Xbox really to care about trying to release this when they have their eyes on all the future stuff coming, especially like the new Perfect Dark, for example, because like they can make that game as good as possible, or whatever studio is making it'll make it as good as possible, and then they could put their time and energy into that instead of, oh, here's this game that was made 14 years ago. Here it is. Let's try and get this out. Like the licenses and rights are probably, well, like Phil Spencer said in his tweet, it's just there's so many rings to run through. It's probably a nightmare to even try to get it, proposed to be put up. So you know what, if it comes out in not to get an emulator, so be it. I'll probably play it and love it. But yeah, that was the big and it just came out of nowhere too. That wasn't like an anniversary of the release as far as I know. There wasn't like anything leading up to it. It just kind of dropped one day, and which is sometimes that's the best news. So
yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's all I got though.
Cool. Well, I think it is a shorter episode this week. We didn't have a main topic. We still ran an hour though, which is crazy. But Jim, do you want to plug our socials?
Absolutely. So there's no real question this week, but we do want to know what you thought of the episode. If there's anything in the episode you wanted to comment on, feel free to do it down below. If you want to stay up to date with Follow My Tracers, subscribe to us right here on YouTube. Click the bell if you want to be notified when we go live or when we have uploads in general. Follow us on Twitter at FMT Show and on Facebook at Follow My Tracers. The links for all of these are in the description down below. Tony, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Figure09TV. And you can follow me on Twitch. Search up Figure09, like the Linkin Park song. you'll find me there. And I'm gonna be doing some streaming this week. Now that I'm in the new room, the new house with the good internet. So look forward to some streams this week on twitch.tv/figure09.
Beautiful. If you want to follow me on Xbox, want to add me as a friend on Steam or the Epic Game Store or GOG Galaxy, just search Power Grudge. You'll find me there.
Sweet. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I know it was kind of a weird week with the episode happening late and not being a main topic and all that, but we really appreciate the support. And look forward to another episode of Follow My Tracers this upcoming Friday, and we'll have hopefully the whole band get back together. So until then, everyone stay safe, have a good week. Hopefully you play lots of video games, or you have time to play lots of video games at least. And we'll chat next week. All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.